Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8. My review for the second last episode of this season. It's hard to contain myself because what the hell just happened? But anyway, episode 19 review, second last episode, penultimate episode, otherwise entitled Negative Part 1 or Book 1. It keeps changing whichever title it is, but it's Negative Something 1. Obviously, Negative Something 2 next week. But spoil it, of course, just go away if you've not watched the episode. What are you doing? Go away, because we need to talk about this. You need to let me know in the comment section down below as well your reactions and thoughts and predictions about this episode and heading into the finale, because what the hell just happened? I have to restate that. What the hell? We got a lot to talk about, especially in that last handful of moments in that episode. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, you enjoyed the episode, you're looking forward to next week's finale, why not drop a like on the video to show support? But of course, last episode, we'll quickly recap. We had Barry mentoring the new speedster of Meena Dhawan, and we learned that the original Earbard Thawne, or the original looking Earbard Thawne, is her partner. He has amnesia, and it's just theorized that he's from like post Flashpoint and can only remember the past year or so when he came back into this timeline. But he had this deep down desire to become a speedster, which led to working with Meena. Now Meena got speed due to having a heart issue, so Thawne gave his spot up to her, which showed that he is different and that he isn't just, you know, self-centered and looking for his own thing. And obviously just showing true care for Meena. Meanwhile, the other Thawne from Armageddon, you know, is locked up on Lian and is visited by Diggle, who ends up rejecting the offer he got at the end of the Arrow series finale. But Thawne is later, right at the end of the episode, visited by quote-unquote Dion. You know, is it normal Dion? Is it negative Dion? We weren't too sure. And there's a team up where Thawne will get his speed back. That's on the cards. But this episode as a whole had some weak points. It had some clear weak points, and I'll point them out when we get to them, even though I don't really want to spend too much time on them. But I will point them out just so I'm not ignoring them. But there was a lot of cool stuff in this episode, and it planted pretty much every seed needed for next week's finale, and there really only needed to be like, what, 2 for the most part, and it did its job, and maybe that's why there was some weak points, because they needed to fill in screen time, but man, the good stuff was really good. But we open this episode in 2049 with Bart and Nora taking part in a bit of gaming. And though you might think that Nora is going to be the noob, Bart is the noob in this situation, which is quite the twist. But this gaming session is interrupted by a call from their mother, Iris, where she all of a sudden fades away. So we had the old Iris, fades away, time sickness style. But at the same time, she reappears, but it's the Iris from the present day, the one that we're used to seeing. So, yeah, she's not from the future, but why is she in the future? It's a bit awkward. Now, we learned that Barry is off-world, I think they said, with Jay Garrick. That's why he wasn't in the future. And the last thing that this Iris, properly remembers is being in her office, like we last saw her, and then she was, like, lost in the time stream. And the big issue is that Nora tries to time travel her back, but she's blocked out by the Still Force. Now we do cut to present day, and we see Meena in her new speed suit, courtesy of Star Labs, and it's fitted with like the same tech and tracking stuff that Barry has. And we see that the training for Meena continues, and we see that Meena's speed and power is growing at quite a fast rate, but so is her desire to get faster and more powerful, which is affecting Meena's emotions. But at the core, there is just a lot of self-doubt within Mia, and she's putting the Flash up on a pedestal of power, which leads Barry to revealing that he is the Flash, saying, hey, it's me, Barry Allen, the guy from Star Labs, the guy that, works at CCPD, forensic investigator, all that. So he was just an ordinary dude before his powers, and this gives some confidence in Meena that, he didn't have to be like overly special before to now be a speedster. And Barry ends up blessing Meena with the speedster name of Fast Track in the process as well. Now, back at Lian, we get one of the first shocks of the episode, and pretty much led Twitter to go, what the hell? And this is when we pick up from the end of last episode, and we have, Dion promising that Thawne, that he will get more than just his speed back, everything he desires, but it will cost him. And Thawne's like, okay, well, what's that? And it's, well, his life, and he gets rapidly aged by Dion's powers. So that Thawne just died right there, which left everyone confused, going, hold on, what? But we were bouncing around a lot in this episode because it had to like set up a lot leading into next week's finale. So we do go back to Star Labs, and they do get an alert on the activity at Lian, which sends Barry there as soon as possible, which is of course where he finds Thawne's like aged and I guess more importantly dead body. Of course, bringing Dion into the discussion due to him being the obvious cause, and with Dion being this being this villainous force now. with his powers of time travel and what it can do, like, yeah, it's a bit of a worry. Now, Cecile is like flexing her new powers to Joe and then invites Rosa Dillon, aka Top, to their house. And I forgot to preface this because this might be that might have been a bit of a jump scare, me saying Cecile all of a sudden. This was a clear weak point of the episode, and I did not like where it leads. And I'm really worried about next week's finale in the case of what they set up. And I think a lot of people would be, but yeah, anyway, Rosa Dillon, of course, isn't a massive threat due to Cecile taking her powers, but Cecile and Rosa, or the Top, go to Iron Heights, and I think it was the Queen of the Royal Flash Gang member that could read minds. Anyway, I think it was the Queen, that's her position on there. And they get her to try and read Cecile's mind to test Cecile's powers out, but Cecile ends up stealing her powers as well, so Cecile can actually now read minds, not just emotions, which led people to think, everyone just thought she could read minds, even though her powers didn't state that, because that's what it seemed like most of the time. But more importantly, she is using her powers within Iron Heights, which itself is like a meta dampener. And apparently, according to Rosa Dillon, the Top, the one person we should trust in regards to an analysis on this, Cecile is apparently becoming one of the most powerful metas ever. And I'm sure everyone watching loves that. Anyway, let's move on. As I said, clear weak point of the episode. But anyway, back to 2049, we have Bart and Iris going to see Joan Williams. It was Joan Garrick at this point. It was Joan Williams in season 6, but it might be Joan Garrick at this point. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we learn that Iris has negative tachyons throughout her, which is messing with her a lot, and she won't be able to deal with it forever. They're going to have to find a solution. But during this, Iris gets a vision of the Force avatars, but they just look a bit off. They look a bit different. They just seem a bit different. And Nora elects that she goes back to the past or our present in order to see what's going on and get more info possibly. But Nora's only in the past for a short amount of time. Now, back at Fast Track Labs, we do have Meena training again, but still not overly confident in the position that she is in. However, Dion with the other two Force avatars rudely interrupt, and they are much more evil, like Dion, than the last time we saw them. And they are here to kill the other Thawne. This is pushing Meena into hero mode, but as soon as she tried to get Thawne out of there, Dion freezes them in time, which also happens to Barry when he arrives. However, he is able to snap out of it, which surprised me, but due to this, he is weakened, and it's due to these now negative forces. They pretty much, during the scene, confirmed that these are the negative forces, or the negative versions of the forces that we knew last season, and they're feeding off the regular ones, which includes the Speed Force. But luckily for Barry, Nora has arrived in Star Labs to assist and sort of give some info, but as I said, she isn't there for too long. Now, we quickly do cut to Caitlin and Chilblain, where they pretty much do one quick scene, and it's going to lead into next. I honestly don't know how much will be in next week's episode with this, but I think they had to include it here because I think they need like maybe time to go by, if that makes sense. But they have that finished cryopod, which hypothetically should bring Frost's like subconscious out again, which would allow them to start over again from where Barry destroyed the work a couple of episodes ago. This could have been towards the end of the episode, but they obviously wanted the clean cliffhanger with no extra scene. So I think they just could chuck this scene in randomly. They could have done it at the beginning of the episode, to be completely honest, and it would have worked either way. But yeah, I think we might just get something quick towards the end of next episode. And I think that this cryopod is actually going to turn Caitlin into Killer Frost. I just think that's going to happen because there's no way they're going to spend too much time on it in the finale next week. So I think that's going to be a cliffhanger that she actually has the Frost powers and she might be a bit more evil or have evil intent. Now, Nora has updated Barry on the 2049 situation, but the lack of a negative Speed Force avatar is brought up when they were at Fast Track Labs, which connects to what Dion said when he said that Barry had to pay, which would connect to Armageddon when Barry rid Eobard of his speed, effectively killing the negative Speed Force, which now connects to Iris's time sickness and the negative tachyons within her. But just figuring out exactly the reason everything is happening isn't the problem. It's really how to deal with it. Like, Barry and the others are fighting an uphill battle here because they know what the problem is, but they've got all these negative forces against them and they don't really know how to deal with it specifically. Now, Meena does continue her self-doubt and she says she is, and this like really hits home considering the end of the episode, but she says she is really only pushing along to keep the dream alive, and this is the dream that her Eobard had. But Meena brings up that she just wishes that the device they made wasn't only made for one person, and Barry says that there is a chance to make it for more than one person, and Barry's actually going to teach Meena to share her powers and make Eobard into a speedster. Now, considering the end of the episode, without jumping into it specifically, I wonder if what happened needed Earbud to be a speedster, or it just Earbud had to be there, like that Earbud. I'm wondering because they were going to potentially take him early in the episode. So I'm wondering if he actually had to be a speedster at the end of the episode for what happened to actually happen. I don't know. That's a what if situation. I'm not too sure. But anyway, we do cut to Fast Track's labs and we see that whole process start where they're going to give Earbud speed. But we also see that the negative forces have really bled through to our plane of existence. Like there's colored lightning everywhere, very reminiscent of last season. And Barry does give Earbud the reverse flash ring. People on Twitter were confused. He gave him the reverse flash ring for the process. Like it had the symbol was the other way around. With Chester, Allegra, and Cecile keeping the forces at bay, which wasn't a good scene at all. It really gave me some worst of season 7 Force storyline vibes. Did not like that scene at all. It was just like a reasoning as to why the forces weren't stopping them in that moment when they were just sort of like meditating between Meena and Thawne. It wasn't very good. But anyway, back to the better scene with Meena and Earbud, where they have to try and fight off the influence of the negative speed force in order to properly complete the process. And Barry's able to, push them over the line, and also being able to save the B team as well, which were pretty much getting owned by the forces. But he is joined by Meena and Thawne. Meena's in her fast track suit, but Thawne is in the older reverse flash suit because, of course, that was in the ring. Now, there was some confusion about shouldn't the new one have been in the ring, but I thought that the ring was from the end of season 1, if you know what I mean, where the suit was sort of a part of it. That's what my thought was. I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a plot hole. I'm not too sure that the new one should have been in there, but the new one was from another timeline, so wouldn't they already had a reverse flash ring in the present day? I don't know, maybe it's a plot hole. I'm not too sure, but I thought it made sense that the older reverse flash suit would have been there because it would have been from this timeline. I don't know. I don't know, I'm not too sure. But anyway, we do get the speedsters of Barry, Meena, and Earbud taking on the forces. It was a pretty even fight, but the speedsters are not really making any ground on this fight at all. Like, you didn't see them really making any progress. But in the future, in 2049, Iris figures out that the sacrifice that needed to be made wasn't Thawne. Like the beginning of the episode, she starts to get these visions, and it was actually Iris. She was the sacrifice, or she is going to be the sacrifice. And we had seen Barry left Meena to like run around Central City to build up speed so he could do a lightning throw. And of course it needed to be a powerful one against the forces. But Iris is sent back by Dion in front of the lightning, just waiting for Barry to come around, and then clicked his fingers. The lightning hitting her, obviously killing her, with a negative still force particles being thrown out of Iris into Earbud, just innocently standing there, where the other Thawne, graphically, like the Wellsabard version that died early in the episode, tears the skin off the other Earbud. Extremely graphic. I wasn't expecting it. Revealing himself, saying thanks for like the revive or something like that, or thanks for letting me be reborn. He said something along those lines. What in the good Lord just happened at the end of that episode? That was definitely one of the most insane endings. Just like tempo wise, so much happened in the space of like, what, 2.5 minutes? What the hell? Now, obviously, there's going to be people that are going to be disappointed by the original Earbud dying, but I think they did a really good misdirect, because when he was hit with the negative still force, I thought, oh, this is how the reverse flash is created. No, this is just how the other one gets reborn because of the particles, and I guess he was a part of those particles and everything like that. What the hell? It was insane. And the thing is that I said before, there were some weak parts in this episode, and the only thing that has me concerned leading into next week's episode is whatever they plan to do with that build-up from Cecile. That gets me really worried. They're saying, oh, Cecile's... That does get me worried. I think that has... From everything I can see post-episode, before I did this review, that seems to be the thing people are very worried about. But everything else that they did to set up this episode, or this finale next week, got me very excited. Now, obviously, the forces are involved, and they were clearly the weakest point of season 7, so that has some people concerned as well. But I think they won't be around too much longer in next week's episode. I don't think. My theory is that now that we have this Thawne here, I think he might feed off them, or they all combine into one great force, which I've been saying for ages. That's been my theory all along leading into the finale. And my main theory which had to lead into that one, is that the negative forces came in, and they came in this episode. So hopefully my theory is completed next week when all of them do combine, because that'd be pretty cool. I'd be pretty happy as well. But overall, as I said, this episode, the good stuff was very good, but the weak points were just not very good at all. Like, they just stood out like a sore thumb, and you just really wanted those scenes to be over as soon as they started happening. But yeah, all the good stuff was really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see where it leads into next week's finale, and just what the end of the finale builds, because we're getting season 9. So what's the cliffhanger? Because, you know, this whole back half of this season was originally built to possibly be a series finale. So I guess that's why it's so, like, over the top, if you want to call it, and like there's so many characters involved. But I'm very curious to see what they set up at the end of season 8 to lead into season 9 as well. But it's got me excited, and I can't wait to see what happens. But this episode in itself, the ending, I don't know, like, my mouth was open. I was like, you know, it wasn't jaw to the floor, but it was definitely like, what the hell? Like, it was that sort of reaction. So yeah, can't wait to see what they do next week, and maybe if they upstage the ending of this one. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this episode, what you like, what you hate, all that good stuff. I'm always curious to read what you guys are thinking, especially your reaction to that ending, and where you think it's going to lead into to next week's finale as well. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.